What's up, guys? I know a couple of you in your posts and in your messages with me want to know what metabolism is. So here's a presentation about metabolism, calories, and body composition, so that you know all about these kinds of things. The things like what slows down my metabolism, what doesn't down my metabolism. How do I know if it's body fat or water weight? So I'm going to go through these and how you burn calories. Some of these things I feel like people should know, but they don't because the education's not out there. So I'm giving it to you right now. Okay, so you guys, how many of you have said the scale went down, yay, and the scale went up, boo? Like scale went down, yes, I'm in a good mood for the day. Scale went down, don't talk to me. I'm not happy. This isn't working. I'm gonna go binge, right? Like that's typically the trigger that we get. So we need to start dissociating our excuse me, our emotions from the scale. And we just need to think of the scale as a tool, just like if you went to get your blood pressure measured and it was high, you wouldn't be pissed off for the day. You'd just be like, well, I need to put things in place to fix this. Or you go again, in a couple of weeks or wherever to retest it versus be like, yes, my blood pressure's down. Yes. You would just be like, oh, cool, my blood pressure's in a good spot. Right, right. Um, okay, so let's talk about body composition. So you've got fat mass and you've got fat-free mass. So fat mass includes muscle, sorry, free mass includes muscle, bone, and water. And fat mass is basically fat. It is the energy that is stored. So if you watch the masterclass, you would know that energy and calories are the same thing. So your body actually stores energy, excess energy, as fat. So when we're eating, say you burn 2,000 calories a day through what I'm about to talk about. So you burn 2,000 calories a day, you eat 2,500 calories or 3,000 calories, the extra energy, the extra calories get stored. Most of it will get stored as body fat. So that's just a quick overview. If you haven't watched the masterclass, I recommend you go and watch that so you get the full shebang. That is in the Busy Women's group. And I'm pretty sure it's in the feature section, obviously. Okay, so men and women are different. How many of you guys have got male partners who just lose weight like that? Or they start a diet and bang, they start to lose weight. And you're sitting there like, I've been trying to diet for 6 months. You just didn't eat a burger last night. And look, you dropped 5 pounds overnight. I hate you, right? I've been there. So women and men are built different, obviously, but things like our muscle tissue is less naturally. So we've got to work a bit harder to get muscle and maintain it. Our essential fat is higher because we are built to have kids, basically. So we need that extra fat for hormones to be able to breastfeed, to be able to have to hold and grow a child. So our essential fat is always higher. Essential fat is the fat you need to survive. If you go under, this is approximately 12%, right? It's approximate, then you will get into bad territory and your body will start to shut down. Then you've got non-essential fats, so fat storage. Again, naturally higher. We've got boobs. Men generally don't. Bone. Bone is lighter as well. Our bone density is less. And obviously we're smaller as well, right? So we are smaller than men. So our uh, bone mass is going to be lighter as well. And then other organs, we're all made up the same there. So you can see here, we are off to a bad start, ladies. We are devastated that we're on the back foot already. If you're a man, lucky you. So these two women, you've probably seen posts like this frequently. These two women are both 60 kilograms, but the one on the left in the blue is 92 centimeter bust. She's a 90 centimeter bust. I say bust, it's bust and back, right? So you could have like some of our clients gain centimeters in the boobs, but it's actually that they're building their back out. If you've got a wider back on the top, it means you've got a smaller waist because of perspective. So it's not like you're going to be hench like you've seen our girls if you watched any of our any of our photo shoot stuff, any of our before and after pictures. You can see they're not hench. Some of them really want to be hench, but it's really difficult for women to get hench. So a bigger back doesn't mean it's bad. On the left, 74 centimeter waist. On the right, 60 centimeter waist. So this is going to be the biggest difference. Around the belly, you can see this chick has got abs, this chick does not. And then on the bottom, 98. So this is like all around the butt, all around the widest part. This is 92. So you can see the biggest differences in the waist. But I know lots of you have probably heard of BMI. We don't like it, because you could be like this, right? She's 60 kilograms, and she's 60 kilograms, but she's obviously healthier, say obviously physically, and she's less healthy in comparison. So on the BMI chart, they both might be maybe overweight or in the top of healthy range, wherever, but actually the one on the right is healthier. But the waist to hip ratio is a much more preferred method of looking at obesity. So I'll see if I can dig out the hip to waist ratio where it's supposed to be. I'll find it. Okay, so quick weight loss. Think about every time you've done keto or low carb, I'm just going to cut out bread. I'm just going to cut out pasta. I'm just going to cut out carbs. Most of that's water. So every time you eat 1 gram of carbohydrate, carb is carbohydrate, you have 3 parts water. So it's carb or hydrate. Hydrate is water. So you've got 1 molecule of carbohydrate, and you've got 1, 2, 3 water. So it's heavier. It's just heavier. It's like if I was to put water in here and then I stood on the scale, I would be heavier. Then if I put this down, I need to put it down here, and I stood on the scale, I'll be lighter. I just lost water, right? So usually quick weight loss is water. Sometimes it's less in your gut. So if you have, I've done an aggressive diet, something that we can put people through, which we can talk about a little bit later. But when there's less in your gut, there's less, you're going to weigh less. So you're going to have less gut inflammation. You're going to have less poop in your gut, basically. And so you're going to be lighter. Some of it's going to be fat when you lose weight quickly. And sometimes it's muscle loss as well, especially if you are on a low protein diet and you're not resistance training. So typically we do the worst things, right? We eat really low calories. We'll probably still squeeze in the bread, we'll still squeeze in the pasta, we'll squeeze in the food that we love. And we won't do resistance training because we want to lose weight. So we'll do cardio because we're always told to eat less, move more. But that is flawed. So there's something called fat offshoot. And what this means is, let's say that this is your weight, this is fat, and your lean body mass right at the bottom here. So let's say you lose weight, great, it's coming down. But some of that is going to be lean body mass, some of it is going to be fat. But then when you regain weight, which most people do after diet, I think it's like 80 to 90% of people regain their weight back after diet. This happens. So you lose everything. But when you regain it back, you don't regain as much muscle. You gain more fat than when you started. So obviously that's going to be problematic, right? Because every time that we lose muscle and gain fat, or every time we lose fat quickly and we gain fat quickly, we get more fat cells, and you cannot get rid of fat cells unless you have liposuction. And there's a couple of other ways the aggressive diet does that also. But basically, it's going to be a pain in the ass. It's going to make things more difficult to lose weight long term. And every time you diet, it's going to be more difficult and it's going to get more frustrating. So, how do you burn calories? 70% is your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. This is your resting energy expenditure. So, how many calories, energy, do you burn at rest? Rest. So, this is how much you burn just sitting. Me now talking like this. How many calories am I burning for my brain to signal to my mouth I need to talk, my brain to remember what I'm about to say. And also just like you guys know I'm very handsy when I talk. So how many calories am I burning just doing that? That's neat, but we'll talk about that in a sec. But your BMR is to sit, to breathe, to like if I was to lay down, how many calories am I burning? Right. Then you've got your NEAT, which is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. I know that's why we call it NEAT. And that is this. That is this handsy. It's walking around the shop carrying a basket. It's basically it's not walking, that's exercise. But it's basically any movement that you are not intentionally trying to exercise with. Cleaning, vacuuming, those kinds of things, all the fun stuff. So you burn like 15% of your calories just by doing stuff unintentionally. Then you've got your TEF, your thermic effect of food. That is the calories that you burn digesting food. So some foods have got a high TEF, high thermic effect. So it means it burns more calories as you eat it. And some have got lower. So you've probably heard of like non-calorie food or zero calorie food or negative calorie foods, which basically means like it's got hardly any calories in, and the amount of energy it takes to eat, chew, digest, and poop out this food is more than what is in this food. Um, so protein has got like a really high TEF. And then you eat, which is not to do with food, ironically, but it's just 5%, right? This is tiny. But 95% of stuff so far, this is the icing on the cake. This is eat, your exercise, activity, thermogenesis. This is your exercise, your workouts, your walks. 5%, guys. We need to like stop being like, oh, well, I can't lose weight because I can't exercise. 5%. I'm gonna like virtually give you a slap right now if you're like, oh, I can't because no, you've got 95% chance of losing weight in all of these areas. If you're just focusing on exercise and making that the be all and end all, you fucked. You are screwed over. Okay, so let's talk about this. Muscle makes you burn more calories, right? Like I said earlier, most of us will go straight to the cardio and be like, I need to burn some calories. Let me get on the cross train now. I need to burn some calories. I do 30 minutes on the treadmill before my workout, or I do 30 minutes, then I leave. Or I do 10 minutes 10 minutes on the bike, 10 minutes on the rower, 10 minutes on the treadmill, and then I'm done, right? Guilty. I've been there also. But building muscle is hard. You know, earlier I said some of our girls want to be hench, but they're not. Well, there you go. It's because building muscle is hard and it takes time. And mentally, building muscle is like the hardest part of body recomp. Because when we see the scale going down and we see our body fat dropping, we're like, yeah, I'm motivated. But when it's time to build, it is hard. It takes a long time. Mentally, it's difficult, and you don't get the same feedback as like, oh yeah, I'm looking good. You don't just build muscle in 2 weeks like you could lose fat in 2 weeks. Um, so when you start in perimenopause, you start to lose muscle. Now, some people are saying as early as 35, you start to lose muscle, but um, that could be because the average age of perimenopause is 45. So you take that back to 10 years of menopause, 30, 35. But in the first 10 years of menopause, you can lose 10 to 15% of muscle mass. And you're already behind. We saw the man and the woman at the beginning. We're already behind as women. So we need to start as early as possible. Like if you are not resistance training already, the best time to start is yesterday. So you need to get a wiggle on and start building muscle. Doing doing les mills with weights is not resistance training, it's cardio. Doing sprints is not resistance training, it is cardio. You need a sustainable, like long-term approach and phased approach to your muscle building program. Muscle also helps with insulin sensitivity, which is a good thing. As we go through perimenopause, if you've got PCOS, if you've got diabetes, you are going to be more likely to be insulin resistant. If you've got diabetes, you are insulin resistant. And so you need to create as much insulin sensitivity as possible. The more insulin sensitive you are, the better your body composition, the better your health outcomes. So we really need to focus on that. A lot of you probably heard of insulin. And it takes more energy, muscle, takes more energy to carry around and move. So it burns more calories. When I'm walking around, if I was 60 kilograms, like those two girls, or let's use those two girls, the girl on the right with a lower body fat percentage will burn more calories at rest. She'll have a higher BMR, and her NEAT and all that will be higher than the first girl. Okay. Let's move on. So you need to build muscle. So how much does your metabolism change with weight loss? How many of you guys have gone through yo-yo diets and be like, oh, well, my metabolism has slowed down, my metabolism. I can't lose weight in case of my metabolism screws up. Let's talk about it, shall we? So the Biggest Loser, you guys may have heard of it. It's the TV competition. In 30 weeks, they did like the thing, the weight loss for 30 weeks. They had a starting weight average of 327.6 pounds, so 327 pounds. At the end of the 6 weeks, 30 weeks, 6 weeks, 30 weeks, it was 199 pounds. And then at the end of 6 years, it was 289 pounds. So do you remember earlier I said most people regain their fat back? Well, there we go. They gained 100 pounds back. So overall, they lost like 40 pounds, which is still a good amount. But what are the consequences of doing it so quickly and under the way that they did? So their rest and energy expenditure at baseline. So how many calories did they burn before they started when they were 327 pounds? They burnt around 2,607 calories a day. So their maintenance was 2,607 calories. At the end of the 30 weeks, because they had done extreme weight loss, they'd done lots of cardio, ate very little, their rest and energy expenditure, so their baseline, the maintenance was 1,900. So they had lost about 700 calories through doing this. So it's also going to be because of the amount of weight that they lost, right? So if you lose weight, your metabolism, your body will burn less calories because it doesn't need to use as much. So your uh, maintenance, there you go, maintenance changes every single day, and it changes based on your period, what you're doing, how much you move. But then it also does, like, take a bit of a long-term approach, it also will change based on how much you weigh, right? So if you lose weight, your calories that you burn each day will decrease. So you're going to have to decrease your food, or so you think. And then metabolic adaptation. So how much did the metabolism slow down at 30 weeks? 275 calories. So not only was it there we go, yeah, 275. So not only was it the actual the water and stuff that we've spoken about, but also about the actual metabolism. So their BMR decreased by 275. And then the metabolic adaptation over 6 years, so they'd gained the weight back. Remember, they gained an extra 100 pounds, but their metabolism had decreased by 500, 500 calories a day. So now, let's say they are 289 pounds, and their rest and energy expenditure, let's just say it's 2,000, right? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. But now the metabolism slowed down by 500. So that means they have to like decrease by another 500, if you go by that math, to lose weight. So basically, what I'm saying is that when you lose weight quickly, if you're not doing it right, your metabolism will slow down. If you regain the weight, which most people do quickly, or even over 6 years like this, if it is not muscle and you haven't done all this properly, you will regain fat and your metabolism will slow down, which is a big no-no. We don't want that. But they're 327 pounds. Maybe you're not 327 pounds. So what about physique female competitors? 23 weeks of prep versus 23 weeks of recovery. Okay, so from baseline, so when they started to 23 weeks, their body fat went down 26.1% to 12%. Do you remember I said that females' essential fat was 12%? So they got basically no fat, no additional fat. So they cut their body fat percentage down, and the metabolic adaptation was 161 calories. So that's quite extreme after 23 weeks, which means to maintain that, you either need to eat 160, sorry, fire alarm, which means that we either need to reduce food by 161, or we need to exercise 161 hours more for me to move. So, okay, well, I'm not 327 pounds and I'm also not a female competitor. Now what? Well, I'm just an average size up. So studies have shown an average change of 60 calories a day, even on less than 1,000 calories. So when we go through the aggressive diet with people, most people are eating less than 1,000 calories. Now, this aggressive diet is an optional thing within our coaching, so it's not like we're forcing people to eat very little. But when people are advanced enough, we can offer this. But basically, um, even when eating less than 1,000 calories a day, as long as their resistance training and the protein is optimized, then it's going to be fine. So the problems with these studies is that only had one resistance training in, which changed to about 45 calories a day, and no protein intake, not optimized, right? So you can even mitigate this by having a good resistance training program and hitting your protein, which is in your nutrition guide. So make sure that you are planning your meals out. It's very, very important. Okay, so weight loss, resistance training, and protein intake. Like I said, these are the most important things. So in studies where there is appropriate weight loss, so 0.5% to 1% of body weight per week, and at least 1 gram per pound of body weight. So let me just talk about this part. If you are 140 pounds, you should be eating 140 grams of protein. If you are 120 pounds, you should be eating 120 grams of protein. If you're 180 pounds, 180 grams of protein. Now, when I get clients to let me just pause this a second. Apologies. Um, sorry, I've completely lost where I am now. Okay, when people get over 180 pounds, that is when we like to say go to your goal weight. So if you're 180 and you want to get to 160, I would go for 160. But it's really hard to get that anyway, so just stick with the nutrition plan for now. Progressive resistance training is really important. And when you do those both those things and good weight loss, metabolism change is almost non-existent. So that's really, really important. Okay, so what is the problem then? How do you burn calories? If you lose weight, or if you're on a low calorie diet, I should say, your NEAT decreases, so your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, because you're not moving as much because you haven't got as much energy. So you might think you're in a higher deficit, but you're not because you're not moving as much. And then your TEF, so you're not eating as much. So you're not burning as many calories eating. So all of these things will decrease, which means you burn less calories overall. You also feel like shit. So some studies show that eating more can help you lose weight. And that's probably due to the increase in calories giving you more energy, so you move more. And then TEF, like I just said, you eat more, especially protein is the highest thermic effect, means that you're gonna burn more calories just eating that food. Okay. So calorie calculators are crap because calorie maintenance is increased through this increase of food. But then, like I say, calculators don't count for that. They don't count for change in metabolism, diet history, medical conditions, medications. They don't count for any of that. So please, 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 never, ever, ever use a calorie calculator. Okay, so your task. What did you learn from today's presentation? I know it's been a long one. I said I would keep them short, and here I am. So apologies. But I want you to post in the group what you've learned today. Use the hashtag challenge or hashtag metabolism Kickstart challenge. And I want to see what you guys have learned today. That's it. Have a good one. Apologies, it was so long, and I will speak to you guys soon.